Hi folks. So originally I was going to title this video Free Bonsai and talk about bonsai I've gotten for free and where I got them from. And also introduce this new tree I just got. This is a red alder I got from work. It served its purpose for science and was just going to be tossed out. And so I said, sure, yeah, I'll take this tree. I was going to title it that, but then I decided, I'm going to flip that idea on its head and title this video, There's No Such Thing as a Free Bonsai. So let me explain. So you might be saying, well, you're holding a free tree in your hand right there. How can you say there's no such thing as a free bonsai? Or you might say, yeah, I have all these trees I dug up in my yard. They didn't cost me anything. Or this tree I developed just from a cutting. It didn't cost me anything. So by one definition of the word, you could say you can get bonsai for free and plants for free. But hear me out. So here's why I don't think there's any such thing as a free bonsai. There's all this stuff. The stuff that comes along with bonsai when you get into bonsai. A big thing, and I'm wrestling this right now, I want to buy a pot for my 3 cedar trees that I recently styled and plant them together. And those are expensive. and a lot of the pots I've bought, I buy cheap pots, but it's still kind of spendy. I've spent quite a bit of money on pots. But you can argue that easily. My friend gets all of her pots from thrift stores. I was just watching Back Garden Bonsai, and they're using old food containers for pots. And I applaud my friend and Back Garden Bonsai, their frugality. I think it's great. So you can get pots for cheap. I'll give you that. All right, but then there's tools, and they don't cost a ton. I don't know, my first set of bonsai tools, many of which I'm still using, I got those for my birthday. I don't know how much they cost, quite a few years ago. But tools can cost money. If you're new to bonsai, I do recommend getting just these 3 tools I love, and that is a pair of pruning scissors, a concave branch cutter, and then a wire cutter, like a blunt-nosed wire cutter, made especially for bonsai. I found that tool. I just got that a few months ago. I love it. I'm really glad I got it, and I can't believe I went for years without a real bonsai wire cutter. But anyways, you can do, again, tools like pots. You can find tools for cheap, or you can just use like any garden pruners, generic garden pruners to do that, or just scissors, generic scissors. Or you can do your bonsai by hand. You could break all the branches by hand. You could prune by hand. Then there's wire. I used a ton of wire. I just recently bought wire to style those 3 cedar trees. It cost quite a bit of money. But again, counter argument to that is you don't have to use wire. You can be a purist like Nigel Saunders and just do complete clip and grow. So you don't need wire for bonsai. Then one more thing I'll talk about, and that's soil or substrate. So I really recommend, if you're new watching this, don't skimp on your soil. Don't just use any old soil. I recommend, if you're gonna spend money on anything, skimp on the pot, the tools, everything else, but maybe invest in good soil, and that might cost some money. But again, you could probably get it for pretty cheap, and be creative. But again, so there's all these things that come along with bonsai, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make with this video, and why I don't think there's no such thing as a free bonsai. And the big reason why I'm making this argument, time. If you undertake to train, manipulate, style tree, it takes your time. And I'd argue that your time is not free. Anybody's time isn't free. So what, right? So, okay, bonsai is not free, it takes time. And so the so what is, well, if you're gonna spend all this time watering this tree day after day, styling this tree, moving this tree around. I was thinking about all the time I spent on, especially my Japanese maple that I've had for a decade, actually over a decade now. I spent a lot of time on that tree. So if you're gonna spend all this time on, basically bonsai is like a pet plant, you might as well spend it on something you value. And I want to share this too, and why I want to make this point in this video is, just earlier on in my bonsai journey, I had quite a few trees that were, free, and but I wasn't too excited about them, and I was simply styling them, taking care of them, because they were cheap, really cheap garden material that was cheap, or they were free, stuff I dug up in my yard. I didn't really value a lot of them, and I realized after a few years, like, well, I don't really care about this plant too much. I mean, I'm just using it because it was free, it's cheap, and I'm just being frugal. The reverse of that, I almost didn't buy right behind me, this larch over here. I almost didn't buy that tree, which is one of my favorite trees, because it was, a whole $83. And I said, man, I really like this plant. I thought about it for a week, maybe in 2 weeks. Like, I really like this tree. I'd love to buy it, to bonsai it, but it's $83, which it's not like I'm much more well off than I was 5 years ago. But at that time, I thought, yeah, I'm not going to spend $83 on a tree. Like, I'll keep working with the stuff I have in my yard. Well, I'm glad I bought it, because that tree, going back and visiting the garden centers like I do, I have like 5 or so that I just kind of bounce around and frequent. I've not found another dwarf larch like it sold in the last few years. So I'm just really glad I picked it up when I did and recognized it as something that I really wanted. Now, there's nothing wrong with free bonsai either. I mean, I have a lot of trees that are, free, that I got for free. Like, for instance, right behind me, this my western hemlock, that was free. I mean, I did get a permit from the Forest Service to collect it, but the permit was free. So there's nothing wrong with free bonsai, and I have plenty that I love. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, don't style a tree or start, investing all this time in something just because it's free. Maybe have some other reason why you like that tree. Maybe it has a really cool curve in the trunk that you like, or you really love the leaves, or it's a species that's somehow significant to you because you associate it with a certain environment, or it's from a place that you value and love, and it makes you think that. So yeah, if you're gonna spend all this time, spend it on something that you value. And often that might mean, you can get it for free, but it might mean, spend a little bit more on a plant that you really value. If this is gonna become your pet plant that you spend all this time styling. So going back to this red alder, why am I gonna choose to invest some time in this tree? It's not really that remarkable. It's actually a pretty old tree. I don't know how many years old it is, although alder grow quite fast, I believe. And that's because on my most popular video, North American Trees as Bonsai, a lot of chatter in the comments was about alder, actually. And so when this was offered to me at work, I said, oh, alder, yeah, people were chatting about that a lot in my natives video. So I thought I'd see for myself. I do like the leaves of it too. They do remind me of a hornbeam. I think a subscriber called alder a poor man's hornbeam. I know another subscriber said alder completely resent bonsai training. So I don't know, we'll see. But anyways, using native trees as bonsai is something I'm interested in, and apparently quite a few viewers are interested in it. It's my most popular video. So that's why I'm choosing to do something with this tree. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. It's a blank canvas right now. I mean, I could wire it. I could make it a small tree. I could put it in the ground and forget about it for a few years. I'm not sure what I'll do yet with it. It's a blank canvas, so we'll see. So yeah, that's just the point I wanted to make. Again, just to recap, there's no such thing as a free bonsai, I think, because if you're going to bonsai something, it takes your time, and your time is not free. So spend that time on something that you really value and that you really love. As always, I welcome your comments, thoughts, and until next time, happy bonsaiing.